So how would I book Debbie Flint versus Glen Campbell feud? It all started at WrestleMania 38. The main event on the show, it's Debbie Flint versus Faye Wills versus the 2022 Royal Rumble winner Dave Ferguson for the Universal Championship. During the match, Jackie proposed to Ferguson, but ends up slapping him in the face, allowing Debbie Flint to retain her Universal Championship. Jackie and Debbie celebrated in the ring, and just as Jackie is about to raise Debbie's arm, we hear Denny Manco's theme song hit. The crowd at 100,000 people at Party in the Park as Glen Campbell returns. Glen said to Debbie and Jackie, "We loved you and we hate you," before Debbie low blow Glen and gave him the limited stock. Debbie replied,
"Now the new Today's Special Value at 9 with myself and Glen Campbell is this wonderful coat. We have 5 different colours, but it has versatility, with hood or removable hood. Alternatively, it becomes a gilet. How great is that? You make up your mind. I just love that. Wait till you see the price. It's gorgeous. So's Glen. See you at 9.
There's a huge buzz for Outside on BBC News, Al Jazeera, Sky News, and GNN News that reported that Glen Campbell return. But there is a match coming up and there is a buzz is at an absolutely fever pitch. It's a SmackDown after WrestleMania 38. Debbie comes out to cut a promo in the ring and all he hears before she starts stalking is chants of Campbell, Campbell, Campbell. Debbie says centigrade outerwear is massive. He's not here, he's gone. This is my week, weekly vlog and it's time for me to take over. A chorus of boos fills the arena, before we hear Ruby Riot's theme song hit. Ruby Riot said, "I have a client to work with, and you have to watch me," the new star of Liv Morgan. Liv does her best and also her King of the Ring win, which she can use to challenge the champion of her choosing. But her Debbie on the other hand, her buddies ongoing. Lorna and Gil are the tag team champions, Lucy Piper is the SmackDown Women's Champion, Allison Young is the Intercontinental Champion, and Debbie Flint is the longest reigning Universal Champion. All the faction has all the gold. After WrestleMania, WWE has the draft, and Pippa Gordon and John Cena drafted to SmackDown. Debbie Flint's first feud, it's none other than the former WWE Champion Pippa Gordon. The simple premise is proving that Pippa is the one who can beat Debbie Flint. But we're having a 6-man mega match, with Pippa Gordon and Little Mix taking on the QVC Nighttime at SummerSlam. The match took place, but Lee Hobbin shows up, leading to the QVC Nighttime losing the match. The QVC Nighttime keeps their titles however. The next night Debbie called Allison a loser, and says go out now. Allison says no, and said to the faction, "Do your worst." The ladies brutalized Allison and kicked them OU. Debbie sets on tights on John Cena. At Extreme Rules, she beats John Cena to retain her Universal Champion. At Survivor Series, Debbie goes on to face the WWE Champion Alex Kramer. The match gets all the hits, but Debbie wins the match. It's later confronted by the King of the Ring winner Liv Morgan and Ruby Riot, who challenged Debbie Flint for the Universal Championship. The match is set for Debbie Flint versus Liv Morgan for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. The next night, QVC led the meeting and said, "Debbie, you can't beat a rookie like that." Debbie told the girls, "Either win, or you're out." Now it's the Royal Rumble, and there's a spot where the ref is knocked down and the buddies come out on Debbie's behalf. But they ends up kicking Debbie instead. The buddies gets chased off by Little Mix, and Debbie is on his feet. She's going for the limited stock, just as we hear. Glen Campbell returns standing at the top of the ramp. This is enough to distract Debbie. She turns towards Liv and she hits Debbie with the Oblivion. The referee counts 1, 2, 3. Liv Morgan has finally ended Debbie Flint's reign. Liv Morgan is now the new Universal Champion. But the night is not over for Glen, as Glen delivered the power slam onto Debbie. And Glen said, "Look at the sign, WrestleMania 39, we're going Hollywood." The next night, Debbie is off to the Garden. He confronted Richard Jackson and Michael Perry that Glen Campbell is here next week. The next week, Debbie opens up the show again and said, "Glen, get yourself out here." Glen doesn't show up. Instead, it's Patrick Hoyt. Patrick said, "You and the buddies are not here." And Debbie angries to Patrick, "Where is he?" Backstage, Lorna and Gil told Patrick, and he reminds him that he is Flint before tagging along with the girls. The next week, Glen Campbell appears on the videotape message, and said, "Let's see how strong they are. Debbie is so going to get Denim and Company TSV." The end of the night, Debbie and her buddies and said, "Glen, he's not a friend. But I found someone who's net. Bring her out," he said. Allison Young comes out with Michaela Taylor in hand. She said, "What's your name?" Michaela Wright, Gatineau. "Acknowledge me," but refused. Debbie tips to Allison, and Allison delivered the limited stock onto Michaela. At this point, Lorna and Gil lose their tag titles. The next week, Glen is announced for the show. He called up Debbie. Debbie shows up and the buddies are pissed. They betrayed Debbie, setting up Debbie versus Lorna Co for Fastlane. The next week on SmackDown, Debbie is holding what is called a QVC's forum, and he's got her old picture album with Black Book. Debbie said,
Have a look at this. We have the most beautiful watch. It's a Diamond Essential, the basics, the easy choice for a present for somebody this Christmas. If you don't know what wrist size they are, you don't know how they like their earrings, you don't know what pendants they've got in their collection, get in touch for this. Now, there are 3-minute phone queues on the 50, 40, 30 line, so it's fine because it is free phones. You can just sit there if you want to.
The next SmackDown, Rock is announced for the show.
Throughout this whole feud, the video package of 30 years of QVC anniversary of Debbie appearing on Kids Show and Julia Roberts in 1993 doing a jewelry debut in 1994. It is a final SmackDown before WrestleMania, and the main event is a face-off between Debbie and Glen. Debbie asked Glen, he's furious and the brawling begins. It's WrestleMania, and the main event is Debbie Flint versus Glen Campbell. Debbie wins the match after Jackie and Allison's help. The end.